I once heard that by the wedding, so the Rebbe invited, it was in Varsha, and the Rebbe invited all the Polish tzaddikim that were there. And one of them was a Meir Shapiro. And the Rebbe spoke in learning with some of them. One was, there was a Rabbi Nachum Zember, and the other one was a Meir Shapiro. So I heard that Meir Shapiro, after speaking to the Rebbe, went over to the Friedrich Rebbe, and he said, well, David's Rebbe, you had an Eidem Agoyim. So the Rebbe said, ich weiß das, ich gewollt, ihr sollt das wissen. Kach Shemaite, I don't know. Also, Laris Reite Breseach, Achatichas Rechem, Oy Matzis. In other words, what he's saying now is that if you have a plate, and in the plate there's pieces of bread, and you want to pour the soup in, so that you're not allowed to do. And as I explained last time, the plate is really a klisheni. But when you're pouring on it from the pot, that's called ido klidishan. And ido klidishan is mevasho kadei klipa. In other words, the surface gets cooked. And he's also going here with the approach that there's a din of bishul achrafiyah. We learned that, we discussed that yesterday also. In other words, when it comes to the rule, ain bishul achar bishul, but still there is yesh bishul achrafiyah. If something was baked, it could be cooked still. So that's why, that explains this whole line over here. He says, also, lados, you're not allowed to pour, roite verseir, hot soup, al chatichas lechem, or matzah, which is baked. So what should you do? El yara tchila es haroite v'techa kara. First pour the soup into the dish. V'yiskara k'tzas. Let it get a little cool, because the Rebbe we went yesterday says that a filled by klisheni, if it's very hot, yatz leather's boy, so it still has a shayla of bishul. Ad she yehei roi lachila. Once it's roi lachila, so it's no longer yatz leather's boy. V'achakach yitin shoma es alechem matzah. We understand that learning from yesterday's learning. We understand what he's saying here. Avo kol sha'aroite hu reseich. As long as the soup is hot, reseich means boiling. That's what reseich really means. Afilu hu bekaida, even though it's in a pot, so in the dish, so it's a klisheni. It's from that thing also we eat the lechem oy matzah. Now he's going a step further. What the Rebbe said, that before we were talking about idu, pouring on it. Now he's saying that as long as the soup, there's nothing in the plate. The plate is empty, but you're putting the soup into the plate, and then you want to put the bread in or the challah. So he's saying that as long as the soup is reseach, so it's a klisheni, still you should do it. Not pour. No. To pour.
Mandlach, he's saying mandlach.
Mandlach, yeah.
Same thing like the bread and the
Yeah.
You can't put it in if it's yatza leather's bone.
We can't eat it yet.
Yeah, that's about the.
Okay. Now he says.
Sometimes you can put it into your mouth. A lot of things that you could hold in your hand. Test it, you'll see. You put it in your hand, you put it in your mouth.
Ein liter melech oy tavlin v'teicha reitev. Afilu hu bekara. He says the same thing applies also. We learned yesterday about this melech. We spoke in our Rebbe Shul. We spoke about melech, and we also said that from the siddur is mashman and melech and sugar is the same thing, and or tavlin. Afilu hu bekaira. What?
We here sind wir in der Alte Rebbe, der Gas Rabbi, Tavon, the Seti, Sheni.
What is it? No?
Das
Tavlin lawyer, we also tavlin, the Kleirisha. Right, I know. I was going to say that, sir. So You remember yesterday we emphasized when Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that there's a difference by Tavlin between Melech and
You
Tavlin.
said it's fun.
Yeah. Right. Melech, it melts. So Vibaldi melts is considered a double lach. And Tavlin, I don't think it melts. So I said it's far because it could be you see little specks from the spices. So now he said, "V'chein miten melech etavlin uteich araytev, afilu hu bekaira, umikosh kein uteich hakadeirim." Kozman shure seich, because that's a klidisha. Ella, yamtin at she is karikatsas, she wait till it cools up a little bit, she eiro elachil. Uvemelech shenasa edei bishul, yesh mekirim. That's the Alter Rebbe spoke about this yesterday in the Shulchan Aruch. That by melech, there's salt that is made by a cooking process. The melech, so it's he wants to go with the shaila of ein bishul acha bishul. This is going. The yesh makilim hold that the melech is a double yavish,
Even if it melts.
even if it melts. Not what he talks about in the Siddur. So according to that opinion, that it's a double yavish, and we have a call that ain't bishul acha bishul by double yavish, even though it's going to melt later, but it's considered yeah. So that's what he says. Ubemelech and by salt, shenasa idei bishul, yesh makilan sama maker. So the same thing I said yesterday also applies. Moshe, there are not everybody is machmer that when they make tea, they make it a kli shlishi. They take the hot water from the samovar, which is a kli sheni, and then they put in the sugar. Because they go with the approach that the sugar is also a double yavish. And the Alter Rebbe, now he said, machmer gam bozeh, the one who's machmer also in this case, Tove el bracha. And why is he machmer? Because he goes with the idea that reading that it's chayzev and nimach, so it's considered a double lach, not a double yavish. And maybe by a double lach, there is bishul acha bishul. V'chein ein lares kofe oitei reseach v'kli sheroitzim lishtes boy im yesh sham sukkah אבל ירא תחילה את הקופה והתה, ואחר כך ייתן לתיכי את הסוכר, ובמקום צורך יש לו הכל. Now, this is an interesting din. According to what the קיצור Shulchan Aruch is picking up over here is that tea and coffee is a tavlin. It's not the din of melech, but it's a tavlin. And by tavlin, we said that there's a difference between a chaydish and a klisheni. You're not allowed to put in a klisheni, but you got to put in the klisheni.
Even if it's hot.
Yeah. So mele, so that's what he's saying. But if there's sugar there, the sugar, on the other hand, is a double lach because it's chayzev v'nimach. So therefore, that's why I think he makes over here. If you look at the words over here, he says.
It says, but it's im yesh sham sukkah.
If the sugar is there already.
That's with water in it. It's not talking about coffee. It's talking about hot.
No. Ein lares. Look at the words of it. Ein lares coffee or tea. They say it.
Liquid coffee. I mean, it's cooked. It's ready made before Shabbos.
Coffee?
It's a kiddushim.
It's conditioned.
It's coffee on the
Fire
stove.
coffee, ready coffee to drink. That's a percolator.
He's talking over here. The words are ein lares coffee or tea, not to put in coffee or tea.
That's liquid.
It's
Liquid coffee.
in other words, in the Welt, the question, how do you do it? When you want to make a tea, do you put first in the
Water
tea
or
or first in the coffee?
But the rabbi over here is trying to say that this coffee is not crystal coffee. He's talking about it's already a liquefied coffee.
Okay, so no.
He's saying, it doesn't send in the
No,
words.
they have
It
a.
says laris. Bad laris.
No.
Ein Laris coffee.
Ein Laris means to pour in.
That means the coffee is already liquid.
Uh-huh. So that's what he's saying. You're taking a hot coffee
I'm pouring into sugar.
and you shouldn't put it into
In a cliche.
V'chein ein la'aretz coffee tea, which is already liquid, reiteach, lekli shereitzim lishtois by im yesham. Oh, that's what it says. Yeah, you're right.
Because there's sugar there already.
Right.
Yeah,
So the problem is the sugar.
right. So you have to wait for a second.
So he says that you can pour into the
But the
sheni-
problem is not the coffee or the tea.
He's not talking about that.
No, he's saying that the problem is not the coffee or the tea. The problem is because there's sugar there.
That's right.
So even though tavlin does not have the same din as sugar, but once there's sugar there, it creates a problem for the. Once there's sugar, so the tavlin creates a problem for the sugar.
The towel of the coffee is saying.
Yeah, the coffee.
The sugar. Yeah.
Normally, if there was no sugar there, you could
Yeah.
put in coffee
Right.
and then pour on top of it hot water.
No, Rabbi, he's saying
we're
that
not talking about
according to the
That's
words.
what he's
No,
talking
he's
about.
saying the words are different. He says v'chein
No,
ein la'aretz coffee. I mean, he's talking about this is a bottle. This is already hot, a china of hot coffee.
Made coffee.
It's
Coffee
made
made
coffee
already.
already. Oy tei, which is in a.
made already.
It's already a first a kli of.
tea and a china. The tea
And
and a
then
china.
you're not allowed to pour that into this cup if the cup has sugar in it.
Okay.
He's not talking about taking crystals
Right.
and mixing it.
Okay.
That already was done before Shabbos or whatever. That's a different. When you talk about sugar, you think that that's crystal. This is crystal. And here he's talking about sugar. It's sugar, and this is already coffee. That's already liquid coffee from beforehand. Irrically rishon of not water, but tea or coffee. There you go. That's,
What's the difference if it's water or coffee? It's already made water and coffee.
There's no difference.
that's what he's saying. There's no difference between if it's coffee because it's a tavlin, right? You would think maybe because it's a tavlin, it's a coffee. It's not liquid, not plain water. He's telling you it's sugar or tea or coffee cannot be poured on top of sugar because it's just like water. That's
Right.
what the wording says.
right.
That's what it seems that the word means.
Avayara tchila
You
as a
should
coffee,
Put it in
latte,
there, cool it down a drop, and then put the
and
sugar.
maybe so that'll be a kusheni.
Right.
ואחר כך יתנו תכלי as a sukkah.
Put sugar in. It's stuffy up.
So this is according to the opinion that
sugar
you
comes
can't
out.
put sugar in a kusheni.
Right.
That you need a kushlishi.
They can't. He says you could put it in.
ובמקום צורך יש לו הכל. So what's that makom tzorech? So I say makom tzorech means like for a chayla. If it's for a sick person, so we're making things
So
for
you
a sick
shouldn't have to
person.
wait. You should quickly make it.
Yeah, they bring up someone tzedek about it. Okay, let's go now to the next one. Still in the idea of bishul. He says, also eaten pri mayim alatana to put on the stove, to akasha husik, mishum de efsheshi asiyach hamayim, v'sheyitzra hapri, and it will come to Yatzagat. There's a simple thing. You know, if you want to put something cold and you want it to warm up, you're not allowed to put it
In a place that could become
on the
Yatzagat.
fire. Even if his intention is just he wants to take the chill out of it. If in this place where he put it, it will be cooked or be roasted. Also, pastida means a kugel. Sheyesh bo shuman, that has in it fats. So the fats will melt and it will begin to bubble up. Yesh shuman, ein ra mida neged hamadayra, oyalatana. And I'm going to put it on the side.
On the blech
Because, well, on the side of the blech, not on, or on the stove itself. But makom sheyach l'asiach, apapi she'ein data el chama.
He only wants to put there for 2 minutes.
If it could come over there, if it stays long enough, it will come to Yatsa letters, but then you're not allowed to put it
That's
on.
the problem, because it could come that. If
Right.
it never could come,
That's what he
then
says.
there'll be no problem.
Aber b'mokum she efshe she is bashul.
Mm-hmm.
If it can't get cooked over there,
Right.
el yischam muktsas, it'll become a little warm. It'll take out the chill, so to say. Is mutter litnam afil mutter litnam. You gotta put it there. Vafila nikrash hashuman oy hamayim machmas hakar. You know, even though the made it will begin to melt a little bit, but
It's only according to
it
that
wouldn't,
doctor,
it wouldn't
it
come
doesn't
to
know
cooking. Avulatecha tana shet minu boy also shum david seinen sheis chamen apapi she efshe lasiach sham. That means to say,
Why?
so this is on Shabbos. He's talking about over here. So that's a din of chazara. Chazara means that you know that much. They used to a Morgat Zeiten. There was not everyone had a regular oven, so he used to go, let's say, to the baker, and the baker had an oven where he'd put in the loaves of the bread or the challah, and then they'd put it in before Shabbos. They would even seal it so it shouldn't open. There's no cold should get in it, and then they would come Shabbos and take it out, and take it home. It was in the little shtetl. There was a native and everything, so it was no problem. After you finish eating, you can't put back the food. Putting back is called chazara. And there's a difference between putting back on top of the oven, on the blech, or putting back in the oven. That's why there's a din that when you take off, let's say you want to serve chong, so you're supposed to take the pot off the fire, and you should hold the pot straight. Because you hold the pot means that there's plenty
Still
to go
plenty
back.
to put it back.
Don't get cold.
Yeah. So by chazara, it doesn't help because it looks more like cooking. You're putting it into the oven is the way they used to cook. I'm putting on top of the oven. So if there's a blech, so then the blech makes it what they call garif v'kotim. You know, garif v'kotim means that the coal are cleaned off. So maybe the whole shayla is that Shemi yechat the bigacholim. Maybe he'll stir the coals. He'll stir the coals. Why? Because he wants to create a stronger fire. It's all covered and everything, so that it's a hecker and it's garif v'kotim. So all our ovens, but in the oven looks mamish like cooking. So that's why you can't put it back.
There's no blech. Because in the oven there's no blech.
There's no blech in the oven. It's another thing. Aber she have she was sehr schon. Und zeig khayre says khayre yas shalos chacham.
By that time, Shabbos will be over.
Because the idea is that this is not the Isra, it's more of a Gezeda. Chazar is more of a Gezeda midrabban. Sas Neugen, the house the Shabbos es amachol umotech atane shet minu bay, kiven sheheim adayin chamim, ach in the stand of gamri oisem. He's saying that there's some people that they do put back into the oven if it's still warm, because if it's still warm, so it's not it doesn't look so much like cooking. But he says, ubal nefesh yesh l'hakmon cholin.
He writes over here that the Alter Rebbe doesn't hold a chafil, you can't do it.
The what?
It says Das Rabbeinu is also b'cholin, and you can never do it.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Where are we up to? Okay, let's learn one more seep over here. The Shabbos also hatman b'shum davar. Now he's talking about hatmana. Hatmana means hiding. Hiding means a way to keep the heat going, You want the food to be warm till the next day. So hatmana, normally what they used to do was they would put it in the sand, let's say. They put things around it or to keep the pot, that the heat shouldn't go out of it. So before Shabbos, you're not allowed to be matmin in a davar hamoisav hevel.
Before Shabbos?
Huh?
Before Shabbos you can't do it?
Yeah, even before Shabbos.
Before Shabbos.
Only moisav hevel.
If it's
I mean,
only
it's going to
moisav.
add heat.
But if it's not moisav hevel, if it's just a towel, let's say, so
Something
then you got
that
to
keeps
do
the
it.
heat but not add
Right.
heat.
But in Shabbos, he says also hatman b'shum davar,
If there's no
even thing which is not moisav hevel. L'chein therefore, im noito kedeira sheyesh bo tafsha shenes bashal bo, oy shenes chamin bo, also kacha al g'saisa b'karim v'kasas of gedayma. He's saying that let's say it took it off the fire.
And you want it to stay warm.
And let's say he didn't hold on to it with his hand. So now he has a shout about putting it back. So he figures, you know what? I'll wrap it with towels
All around.
and I'll keep it warm. So that's atmona in a davar she'ena moisav hevel,
But it's Shabbos.
but it's Shabbos, so that you're not allowed to. Now hatmona means, I once explained this already, that hatmona means that it's covered from all sides. If it's not covered from all sides, it's not hatmona.
That's why I say you can make in the kishke.
A line, yeah.
That's what I said. I said that the shaila, that no, over there you're matman and a davar moisav hevel, because you put the
But you're putting
children.
it before
It's a davar moisav eresha, but
you
we
make
found that
one
it's
splash,
right.
it's ready.
Make a cut in it. Or I said that the shaila on a thermos they have a shaila. If a thermos is considered a davar moisav hevel or not, and part of the question is, or actually, better yet, they have this shaila on the crack pots. Is the crack pot considered hatmona? So they want to say that being that in many crack pots there's a space,
Right,
it doesn't
there is a
fit in tight. So being that there's a space between it,
So
so
it's
it's
not
not considered a davar hatmona and a davar moisav hevel.
Everyone uses it. Everyone uses it.
Yeah, but if you took it out and you put it back in, that's
A lot of
but
people,
that won't be a shaila.
a lot of
You're doing
people,
it
a lot of
before
people.
No, Maisiv Hevel is a Maisiv Hevel.
But it's not a problem before
For
Shabbos.
Shabbos, you can be Maisiv Hevel either.
How could you leave on the bless?
No, it's open.
That's not money.
And the glass is open.
It's not Monday.
Over here it's
Yeah, but
hatmona.
the crock pot doesn't cover the top.
No,
What? Yeah,
cover, never cover.
yeah, but the cover is to cover the pot. You're putting it into another thing that does not covering it.
Doesn't matter.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? Of course it matters. That's what I mean to cover all around.
The cover is covered.
No, all around does not be the top also.
If you
That's not being
listen,
top.
if you take a towel,
I think it means mainly the
take a towel
sides.
and
The
wrap
sides, the sides.
Yeah,
I think it mean-
you only do it around the thing and not the top of it. It's okay.
I think it means mainly the sides. I'm older used to do it in sand.
Yeah.
They used to put it in sand, not, there wasn't sand over the pot.
When they say atmana, it means you cover all around. So you could take a towel and wrap your soup.